Howdy everybody, and welcome to Pokezard's world. Now let me begin by saying, this is like my 21st try, 21st try at this video, because I keep starting it and then I keep thinking, fuck, let me restart, let me try this differently. But fuck it, this is it, this is the video, this is my recording, so you take it or you leave it. And yeah, so basically I'm just here to say, first of all, thank you for your support, thank you for everything you've given me, which is life and love and everything else in the world. Thank you for subscribing, thank you for giving a like or a dislike, because you know, if you give a dislike, that means you have some passion, it means you probably hate me enough to give me a dislike, so it means I kind of live rent-free in your head, which is pretty cool. But on a more positive note, if you send me or if you leave me a like, that means you like me to an extent, so I'll take that. And please, yeah, comment, you know, whatever you think. Please comment any sort of constructive feedback. Please let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, what I could improve on, what I do really well, what you would like to see in the future of my top 100 video game series. So this is my 2020 edition, and I'm gonna have 5 parts up. This is part 2. Part 1 was the last video. I went from number 100 down to number 81. So now that we are at part 2, it means we are going to be going through number 80 down to number 61. Very exciting stuff, and I'm not going to waste time. Just keep in mind, of course, this is my personal list. You may disagree, you may agree. It's just a list, it's just my thoughts. You know, every year it changes, every year things come on and off the list. Everything changes spots. Everybody plays Twista. Not the rapper, but the game, Twister. I don't know why I said Twista, like the rapper, but I'm no rapper. I am just a man trying to have fun on YouTube. So let me begin part 2 of my top 100 video games of all time, 2020 edition, with my number 80. Number 80, I'll begin with a game I really love. The Ubisoft published game, South Park, The Stick of Truth. This is the first South Park game published by Ubisoft, at least in modern day. And yeah, South Park The Stick of Truth is basically a Western RPG, sort of turn-based, and it's just South Park. You're living in South Park, you're living in this world. If you love the show, if you have any sort of affinity for the show or for any kind of humor, if you like laughing, if you enjoy joy, if you like life, just please play this game, because The Stick of Truth is like this Lord of the Rings sort of parody, this kind of fantasy joke. It's just you're given this kind of open city South Park universe. So if you've watched South Park and if you know Kenny's house or Kyle's house or Carmen's house or the store they go to or school itself, everything is in this game. Everything is open to explore. There is so much lore, so much story. This really feels like a huge season of South Park, and one of the very best season of South Park. So now South Park The Stick of Truth, it's hilarious. You could even pick your class as an RPG in the beginning. Of course, I picked a Jew class because I am Jewish, of course. No shame there. And yeah, South Park The Stick of Truth is just a game I think every gamer should play. At least if you enjoy a good old RPG, especially a Western RPG. If you enjoy humor, if you enjoy a good laugh. I watched Fidel play this game 3 times. Literally 3 times. And I laughed so hard every time. And then I played it for the first time by myself, I think 3 years ago. And I adore this game. I think this game is something very special. It's almost like, how is it not higher on this list? Well, that's the story of this whole list. Everything can kind of be higher or lower. Things just change. But South Park The Stick of Truth at number 80. Good job. You deserve it. Number 79 is our first indie game on this part 2 list. Number 79 is Oxenfree. Oxenfree, of course, developed the first game, developed by Night School Studio. I remember when this game was announced and I was like, this looks like a Jeremy-ass game. This looks really cool, it looks very creepy, it looks very interesting, it looks just strange. It reminded me a lot of Stranger Things. Now this game may have come out before Stranger Things started. I'm not sure about the timeline. You tell me in the comments. I'm really not sure. But either way, Oxenfree, it's basically an indie game. It's one of people's favorite indie games. And it's basically a top-down game. It has an incredible soundtrack. Like really mesmerizing, like one of the very best indie soundtracks ever by far. It's like, it sounds out of this world. I'm not sure if it's because it's chiptune or whatever, but this soundtrack for Oxenfree, it's like it sounds like I'm in space. It sounds like I'm on this different planet and this music is playing and I'm like, what is this? Why is it so beautiful? It's almost hard to explain. But yeah, Oxenfree is basically just friends together on this island, kind of like this vacation. And weird shit happens, like a lot of fast forwarding, a lot of, well, flash forwarding, a lot of just time travel, a lot of weird shit happens. It's hard to explain without spoiling really, but it's basically a point and click adventure. And it's like 5-6 hours. I played this game twice or 3 times, I think. And it has an incredible, amazing story. It has great characters. It has great dialogue. This game is actually really special and unique because a lot of games and movies and shows don't understand or don't seem to understand how teenagers speak, how they act. This game really understands how teenagers speak, at least from like 10 years ago. Like, they don't speak like adults. They don't speak like they're super uptight or weirdly recorded. They sound like normal teenagers, which is pretty cool. Number 79 is Life is Strange, not 1, but 2. Life is Strange 2. I am a huge fan of this game. This game is amazing. I think the only problem with this game is how long it took to release. But yeah, I wasn't a fan at all of the first Life is Strange. I thought, wow, I love teen dramas, I love, kind of girly things like this. Maybe I'll love Life is Strange, the first one. I tried episode 1, and besides the music, which was pretty great, I was like, this is kind of boring. And then I started, episode 2, and I was like, I really don't like this. This is not for me. I'm kind of falling asleep. That's not a good sign, obviously. So then I waited, and people love Life is Strange 1. They really love it. It has like this cult fan base. And then I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I forget. It was that Life is Strange 2 was announced, and they said episode 1 is coming out then. I was like, okay, I really want to love Life is Strange 2 and Life is Strange in general because it's a great universe. It's really cool. It's kind of indie-like. And I was like, I don't know. But then I saw the trailer, and it was basically just 2 brothers. They call themselves the Wolf Brothers, but they're human. 2 brothers who are Mexican, which plays a big part in this game and in the story. And yeah, it's a 5-episode game where 2 brothers are kind of on the run, and they go through a bunch of stories in America and some in Mexico. And yeah, like the first game, there are many choices. I prefer the powers in this game. I think as someone who has brothers himself, I find this game a lot more relatable to me personally. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's just a few of us, but I thought this game was very relatable, so it's kind of a reminder that when a game does have something that kind of reminds you of your own life or something that you've kind of been through or lived through, maybe you just like that game more. So maybe that's why I love Life is Strange 2 so much. But as a game, it has an incredible soundtrack. It has, in general, an amazing story. Again, the 5 episodes, obviously when you have 5 episodes, it's hard to nail it down because, well, you gotta balance it. You gotta have like, okay, episode 1 is the intro. Episode 2 is, okay, we're getting into it. Episode 3 is when the plot really develops. Episode 4 is kind of the payoff or the pre-payoff. And then episode 5 is like, okay, this is the end. So I think that's the issue with episodic games, is that they really strike this weird balance between filler and importance. And I think this game does a pretty amazing job overall. Again, the only issue is that episode 1 came out in like August 2018, I think. And then episode 2 came out like 5 months later, which is absurd. And I think the series or the game only ended basically a year and a half after the freaking episode 1 came out. So it was a long wait. And that's by far the only issue because the game looks way better than the first game did. It plays really well. It's very polished. And again, great side characters, great main characters, great choices. I just love Life is Strange 2. I think Life is Strange 2 is an amazing game, and I think everyone should play it. Especially if you have brothers. Maybe sisters, but mostly brothers. And then we call ourselves the Wolf Brothers. And I love the politics of it. I love the amount of political things and just racial kind of things that they go through, whether it's in America, whether it's being Mexican and being kind of profiled. Like, all these things are really cool and interesting, and I think this game handles it really well. Another game set in America is number 77. I love this game. Far Cry 5. I'm a huge fan of Far Cry. I think Far Cry is very, very fun. And I think 5 might be my favorite. It might be. I'm always on the fence. I'm always like, is it my favorite? Is it not? I don't know, because this game is set in America. And I'll never forget seeing the trailer. I was like, yeah, this looks cool. This looks fun. This game is one of the funnest games because you're in America, in the USA. and you're just kind of fucking shit up. You're just destroying everything. It's like America 101. It's like you're this guy, I don't know, you don't have a name. I think you're a sheriff or something. And yeah, you're kind of on this countryside. So I think what I love the most about this game is the soundtrack and vibe. So because you're kind of, I don't know if you're in the south or just the countryside, but the music is so good. It's basically just country music, just very folk stuff, and it just sounds very, very at home. Like you really feel like, yeah, I'm in America and I'm in the south and I'm probably on the countryside, and that's where we are. And the music really reflects that. So incredible soundtrack. I listen to it even outside of the game. I adore it. The game itself plays so well. Far Cry is known for being just a fun game. Like, obviously there's a story, and the story is great. It's pretty good. It has some interesting characters, to say the least. But yeah, such fun side missions, such fun puzzles, fun exploration, fun just shoot everything. It's just a fun game. I love Far Cry 5. It's one of those games I think everybody should play. I think 3 still has a bit of an advantage story-wise, but 5 is by far the funnest Far Cry game, so really love Far Cry 5. On to number 76, the best year in music. Perhaps. I wasn't born then, I don't know. Just a wild guess. But another wild guess goes to L.A. Noire, published by Rockstar Games, and I forget who developed this, but I believe they're no longer in business. L.A. Noire is a very special game. I think it has a small cult following, including me. I played it pretty late. I played it on my Switch about 2 or 3 years ago, I believe 2 years ago. And L.A. Noire is just a very special game because not many games are like this. It is set in the past, I believe in 1930s, 1940s in America. And you are playing as this detective named Cole Phelps. My favorite part of the game, because the game itself doesn't age well in some ways, but what's really cool is the story. In general, Cole is a cool character. He's not beloved by any means, and he's not incredible, but he's pretty cool. I think he has some personality, some charm, and a lot of sense of justice, really. He has a good sense of justice, and the best part is whenever you're in a new story beat, you're kind of partnered with a new detective slash partner. So I believe there are 3 or 4 in this game, and they each have like a good cop and bad cop kind of feel, or they have a both kind of assholes feel, or both good guy feels. It's just cool how the game really gives you different pairings, so you feel like you're always doing different things or having different kind of story beats. Gameplay wise, it's good. It's not great. So I think the game itself it's a great game because it just gives you this very, very L.A. Noire, quite literally, feel. This feeling like you're in this city and you're there to be a detective, and the shooting is not really important. It's just a secondary thing. It's mostly about analyzing your victim or the culprit and finding out who did what, who to accuse. So I think the game worked really well. I think, again, it doesn't age perfectly. I think a sequel or a reboot would do it a lot of good. It definitely deserves it because not many games are like this. So L.A. Noire, if you haven't played it, it's very cheap these days. Just check it out. It's really worth playing because it's a very interesting game. And hopefully Rockstar one day makes games besides GTA and Red Dead, although I love Red Dead. Number 75 is a similar sort of game. It is an open world sandbox, Mafia 3. Mafia 3 is a very interesting game because it was my first Mafia game. And since then I've played another Mafia, perhaps you will hear on this list. I'm not a big fan of Mafia movies or Mafia kind of themed things. I love Yakuza, which is basically the Japanese Mafia. Mafia 3 is just, it's a great game. I think it's a game that has an amazing story. It has great characters. It has amazing set pieces. I can't tell you enough how much the set pieces really blew me away. Whether it's the one on the ship when the ship was kind of crashing while you're in there, or the bank heist. Like, you're playing another one where you're playing in the past and you're playing as a black character, which is not very common. So I think it's really cool that you get this different perspective. I really liked Lincoln Clay. I like the other characters, the supporting cast. The soundtrack is great, like it's a great old school soundtrack. I especially love just the car rides, just listening to some of these songs. A lot of those songs I started to really love and hear on my own. Shooting wise, it's a solid shooter, like it plays well. Everything works the way it should in terms of gameplay. It's just very basic, so I think the game's downfall is how basic and not innovative and sort of repetitive the gameplay slash combat could be. The driving is really, it's good, but it's not incredible. The shooting is alright, but it's not great. So I think the story is really what shines here. Even there are a lot of bugs, at least when I played it day one, a lot of glitches. Like a lot of side missions wouldn't even load, or they would crash. It was just very messy. But as a story, as a cast of characters, as a soundtrack, and as set pieces, the game does an amazing job at those things. So I think it's a great game overall. I think it's very underrated, and I understand it obviously definitely should have launched better, but it's still a special game, and if you haven't played Mafia 3, please play it. I'm very excited for the Mafia Definitive Edition Remaster remake soon. 74 is what was my second favorite game of 2019, Concrete Genie. Concrete Genie is a little game by a very small Sony-owned studio, Pixel Opus. They've only made 2 games, Entwined, which came out I believe at the launch of the PS4, or at least in the first year, and now their second game at number 74 is Concrete Genie. Concrete Genie is this incredible 5, 6, 7 hour game where you're playing as this kid Ash, and Ash is not from Pallet Town, believe it or not, and he gets bullied. Like the whole point of this game is you're this kid who, kind of a teenager, and you're being bullied by others, and I think it's really ballsy and impressive that this developer was able to portray bullying in such an interesting way. Obviously, you play this game and you're like, fuck these bullies. These bullies suck, they're so mean, they're hurting Ash's feelings, they're literally pushing him around. It's kind of messed up when you look at it that way. And bullying should never be accepted, obviously. I think this game, just story-wise, it really kind of comes together and tells you bullying is wrong, never bully, obviously, but it also addresses forgiveness and peace and love and friendship. So I think Concrete Genie, story-wise, it excels at it. It's an incredible story, it's very heartwarming, it feels straight out of Pixar or Disney. It just feels like a very sweet game with a lot of realism, and I even love the gameplay. The gameplay itself is great, it's fun, you mostly have imaginary friends that you're kind of bringing to life, and they're obviously not real, but in this world, in this town, they're kind of real, so that's the only thing about it that feels real about it. But art style wise, it's a beautiful game, beautiful visuals. It's a little city, like a little city, so you have a lot of space to move around and explore, but it's limited in a good way where you really feel like you're in this small town. And yeah, you have a few hub areas. The objective obviously is just to go forward and to collect more and more genies, which are your imaginary friends, and some puzzles. But as a whole, it's just an amazing game. It's one of those really sweet, creative games, and I think everybody should play it. It's a PlayStation 4 exclusive, obviously by first-party Sony Studios. And yeah, so shout out to you, Pixel Opus. Concrete Genie is amazing, and I wish more people played it. One of the gems of last year, of 2019. Another gem goes to number 73, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. I'll tell you right now, I fucking hate ships in video games. I get really bored of them. I don't like combat. I think this game, because it was like the first time I really did it in a game, I was okay with it. I was like, okay, I'll take it. It's not fun to be in one of those pirate ships and do that kind of stuff, but it's okay. We're pirates, so it makes sense. I wish every other fucking Assassin's Creed game stopped doing this, but that is beyond my simple control. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is an amazing game. The game itself, I think it's actually the most polished. I don't know why it's the most polished Assassin's Creed game I've played. It felt like everything ran so smoothly, everything worked so well, everything just... It really ran well, like whether it's, the frames ran really well, the visuals are gorgeous, the water effects, everything about it. You're playing as Edward Kenway, this pirate who's kind of an asshole, but he's cool. Like, you play as him and you're like, he's cool as fuck, he's really cool. Like, maybe I wouldn't necessarily want him to be my father or my friend, but he's really cool and probably a fun guy to have a drink with. And I really liked his crew in general, his pirate crew, really cool people. I think in the first half of the game I was like, Edward's kind of cool, but I don't know if I like him. And then the second half of the game just does a 360 and you're like, holy shit, this guy is really cool. I really love this guy. He has a good heart deep inside. And you see it with the different characters he interacts with. So, no, I love Edward Kenway. I think this is why this game ended up being many's favorite Assassin's Creed game. It's an amazing game, even gameplay-wise. It has such fun missions. Such fun side missions, a fun world to kind of be around, like you're not in a city, you're more on an island, and obviously the ship battles and the soundtrack. It's just a very, very special game. Like, it's obviously not very Assassin's Creed, but even how they addressed the Assassins part of it is really, really cool, and I didn't expect it. So no, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag number 73, it's a special game, and if you haven't played it, please play it. It's definitely one of the most deserving Assassin's Creed game to be played. Number 72 is yet another indie game. This one is Pyre. Pyre is a sort of sport game. You play soccer in a way. It's not really soccer, but you're kind of playing soccer. It's the best way I could explain it. When I first saw this gameplay, I was like, why the fuck should I care about this? Also, for context, this was developed by the same people who made Transistor and Bastion. So I believe it's Super Giant or Super Massive, probably Super Giant. And I really, really liked Transistor. I fucking hated Bastion. So Pyre, I was like, it looks kind of weird. I don't like sports. I don't like soccer too much. What is this? I saw the reviews. They were glowing. I was like, okay, let me give it a try, I guess. Nothing else is coming out right now. So I played Pyre. I was like, Pyre is an amazing game. It's a special experience. The story itself and the stories you kind of choose for yourself. You fight these teams in this demon world. And the cool part of it really is whoever wins the battles or whoever loses, if you win the soccer match, basically, you get to go on to the next round. And if you lose, you're kind of eliminated. So the whole point is to get out of hell or wherever you are, kind of to get out of this world, go back to Earth or go to Earth for the first time. So the escape plan feels really cool because you feel like the gameplay is tied to getting out. So there are many endings, many different things. The music itself is amazing. It has one song that is sang by somebody and it's gorgeous. It is very emotional. Visually, this art style is very special. This is by far my favorite Super Giant game or Super Massive game. I'm gonna keep mixing both up, to be honest, until you correct me. But it's my favorite game from them. One of my favorite indie games. It proved to me that this, again, could be whatever it wants to be as long as it's good and it resonates with you. It could work. So Pyre, very underrated. I think it should be played by more people. And for now, I think it's only on PS4 and PC. Correct me if I'm wrong. Number 71 is The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Another Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. These two games are more similar than we think, but it's only on the shallow things of both are pirate games. It's kind of lame, but whatever. I love this game. I think this game is the second best Zelda game, I think. I will not spoil what's ahead, but Wind Waker is just a special game where the art style itself is incredible. It's one of the most stunning art styles, to the point where whenever I see this sort of art style in a game or in anything ever, I'm like, that's Wind Waker, even if it's not. Because they really kind of owned this art style and these visuals, and even the way Link looks. Link, we kind of call him Cartoon Link or Toon Link, and he's in Smash obviously. Link and Ganondorf and your sister and everybody in this game, they just all look so different from usual, and they all look amazing, and they all look like they're almost more innocent than they are. And some characters look creepy as hell in general in Zelda games, so no exception here. But as a game itself, it plays so well. It's so much fun. It has easily some of my favorite dungeons in a game ever. Some great puzzles besides the get all the Triforce in the sea, which I fucking hate. The rest itself, the combat, the boss battles are amazing, the moments in this game, the set pieces. It's an epic game. This is an example of how to make a not spin-off, but how to deviate from a franchise's usual kind of theme and gameplay segments and make it a different thing. I think Wind Waker is easily the second strongest Zelda game. I wish we would get, not a sequel, but a similar sort of game in terms of similar place, similar vibe. But The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is forever cemented as number 71. Because it is special. Number 70. We're almost there. Number 70 is yet another Nintendo game. This one is Super Mario Odyssey. Super Mario Odyssey is one of the best games of 2017. It is one of the best Mario games. Not my favorite, but one of the best. I think the game is so much fun. I played this game actually at a time where I was in a dark place, and this game kind of reminded me that games and things in life can be fun, and laughing is okay, And having just stupid fun throwing your hat around at everything, throwing Cappy at everything, is okay. No, very, 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 very mesmerizing and fun soundtrack. Lots of fun moments, lots of cool boss fights, lots of cool enemies to take over with Cappy, lots of cool times seeing or hearing Mario say, wow, or whatever else he does. Obviously a gorgeous, gorgeous game. I wish we could get a Mario Galaxy 3, in the future. But Mario Odyssey, it's still a special game. It's full of life. It's like one of those games you just can't not laugh and smile while playing it. It's special in every way. It plays so well. It's super polished. It's an incredible game. So if you haven't played Mario Odyssey, I'm sure you have. But if you haven't played it, please play it. It's a must play on Switch. Obviously one of the most, beloved Switch games. And yeah, I hope we get a sequel. I hope we get more of this. I want to play it again. It's just a very fun game. It's an incredible game, man. It's a reminder that Nintendo is so creative and so good at making games. So hopefully we get more Mario Odyssey. Now this number is special for one simple reason. This is number 69. 69. I don't know why it's so funny. Number 69 is Paper Mario Color Splash. I'm playing right now another Paper Mario game, which I will not discuss yet because I didn't finish it yet. But for now, number 69, 6-9. Not 6ix9ine the rapper or whatever he is, the snitch. This is 6ix9ine Paper Mario Color Splash. I love this game. This game is so much fun. Another example, once again, of how Nintendo could be so creative. Huey in this game is hilarious. Mario is hilarious. Bowser is hilarious. The game is just beautiful art style. It has so much life. I love the combat, I love everything about it. I love the set pieces, I love the moment, I love the soundtrack. It's just one of those games that you're playing and you're like, how is this real? How am I playing this game? It's incredible. It's just one of those games that always stays in your mind and you're always reminded of the swan song of the Wii U, because the Wii U had a swan song and it was Paper Mario Color Splash. Number 68 is a game that means a lot to me for many reasons. First of all, one thing about me, I love vampires. Vampires are an obsession of mine. Not to be creepy, but vampires just... I wish I could be one sometimes. But yeah, 68 is Vampire. Vampire is a game that was released by Don't Nod 2 years ago in 2018, I believe. Maybe 2017, but I believe it was 2018. But Vampire is basically an action RPG. It is this amazing game where you're playing in this open city, open world. It is basically London era, 1860-something, probably 1864. And you're playing as this doctor who became a vampire. And because it is an action RPG, you have a lot of choices. So the gameplay is directly tied to the story and to the difficulty. So for example, obviously vampires, they feed on humans or on blood. So in this game, you're kind of given this choice because you have no difficulty options. It's just one difficulty. If you eat everybody, if you drink everybody's blood, you will be really strong and the game will basically become easier. Not easy, but easier, because you'll be powerful. And if you don't feed on people because you don't want to hurt others, the game is much harder for you. So as somebody who really, really wanted to play this game as a good vampire, I had a tough time because it was tough. Because I wanted to be good, and that means I couldn't feed on everybody. So some people it's hard to avoid, so you kind of have to kill them. Plus some I did want to kill because they were kind of assholes or evil bastards. So killing some people gave me enough stuff to go on and beat the game, but I did have a moment where it was, I think, towards the end. It was, I think, the pre-last boss fight or something. It was so challenging, and I kept dying. So I went back, found somebody I didn't like, one of the NPCs. I fed on them, and then I was able to beat the boss fight a bit more. So instead of losing, I beat it by a stretch, but I still beat it. So it's crazy how the gameplay itself is directly tied to the story and directly tied to the RPG elements. Like, this game is straight up one of the best RPGs in the sense of you really decide which kind of vampire you are, who you want to feed on, if you don't want to hurt anybody. Like, your difficulty is directly tied to that, which is fucking cool, I think. I think it's really, really cool. because no other game that I know of has done that. And yeah, I think the game, it doesn't have this incredible story, but I think the story is good enough to carry this RPG in terms of your decisions, your rules, your everything. The game itself looks really good. I love the combat. Combat's amazing. I love the powers you have, whether it's teleporting really quickly as a vampire, or in general just taking somebody and compelling them, or biting them, or using your little knife. Like, it's a really, really cool game. It's one of those games. I know it sold really well. I hope we got a sequel. I hope we get more of this because we need more vampire games. They're way, way, way too... there are almost none of them. There are almost no vampire games. So we need more vampire games, please. Number 67 goes to one of my favorite shooters, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. I love Call of Duty. I know it's funny because Call of Duty is like, it's Call of Duty. But I really love Call of Duty, and Black Ops 3 was one of my first Call of Duty games I really got into. I got into the multiplayer, the online, team deathmatch. I love the campaign itself, it's great, it's fun. But the multiplayer, the online team deathmatch, I spent like 60, 70 hours in there. I really got addicted, I guess, for me, someone who almost never plays these kind of games. And I just really, really loved it. It plays so well. It's the futuristic Call of Duty, so you're not playing in the past. As usual, you're playing in the future. So a lot of jumping and wall running. And it's a lot of fun. I just really love this game. It really made me appreciate playing team deathmatch and these sorts of shooters, online shooters. So I don't play many of those, but Black Ops 3 was a great one. Let us swim into the ocean with number 66. Not to be confused with 666, because I am not the devil and I do not work for him. Number 66 is Abzu. Abzu is swimming into the horizon. Abzu is a little indie game that released in 2016, I believe. It is a masterpiece. It is one of my favorite games of all time. A phenomenal experience. It is one of the definitions of experience games. Meaning, this game is like 2, 3, 4 hours. I think it's 4 hours. And it's a game I beat in one night. I just sat there on my chair, I think. I had my headphones on, my TV in front of my eyes, of course, on the PlayStation 4. And it was just this experience where you're swimming in the ocean. You are literally swimming in the ocean. You are literally meeting / seeing all these different creatures. You will see a whale, but you will see like 6 different types of whales. And you can literally grab onto them, and when you're with them, it's like, it literally tells you the information of what they are. So the specific kind of whale, how much it weighs, what it does, are they predators or are they victims, or whatever the case is. So you can grab onto any creatures and swim with them. The story itself is basically just this story told through the environment, which is pretty cool. And so it's not really a dialogue game, it's just this kind of experience you go through. And like I said, things just happen. And there are some puzzles, very, very light, easy puzzles. But it's really just an experience. Just swim around in the ocean, be Nemo, have fun, and you discover things. And it's just a very magnificent experience because there aren't many like this one. So Abzu, swimming at number 66. Well deserved, Abzu. Well deserved. Number 65 is yet another Call of Duty. This one is Call of Duty World War II. This came out in 2016, I believe, and I adored this game for the campaign. I will be honest, I did not enjoy the online. I think the online was kind of boring and the maps kind of suck. Just my opinion, way too big, maps-wise. But the campaign itself is my favorite, probably, Call of Duty campaign because it is very, very serious. It is very well done. You really care about your friends and your buddies and your partners. There's a lot of death. There's a lot of, obviously, bad shit happening. I think it's just well put together. I think it's very emotional. It's great. It's epic. Even the set pieces and the moments work really well. It's just an epic, epic game. I love the campaign. I think the online, again, it just wasn't the best at all. But the campaign itself, it's like, yeah, this is what I wanted from a Call of Duty campaign. It just felt very, very memorable. Just like number 64. 64 is one of my many Final Fantasies on here. Number 64 is Final Fantasy X. This game I played as a kid. I borrowed it from Blockbuster, and I just couldn't figure out what to do. So I played Kingdom Hearts instead. Good decision. But now that I am a little bit older, and I played Final Fantasy X for the first time as an adult. I love this game. This game has an amazing turn-based combat system. It works really well. It has great, well, too many, but still fun boss fights. A great story, an incredible soundtrack, beautiful visuals, even for an older game. It's just a very well done game. You could see right away why it's a cult classic, why it's so beloved, why it is for many their favorite Final Fantasy game. It's just a very respectable game. It has so much going on. It's a typical Final Fantasy game, but it's a great one. It's a great game. It's special. It even has a kind of sequel, which no one really likes. But Final Fantasy X is just, you can't forget about it. It leaves a mark on you, quite literally. Number 63 leaves a similar kind of mark. 63 is another Nintendo game, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. I adore this game. I think this game should probably be higher on this list. It's an incredible game. It's an amazing puzzle experience. It's an amazing visuals kind of game because the game is gorgeous. It's an amazingly fun game. So many cool platform moments because you can't jump. So what you got to do is very different than jumping, which makes it very unique. And just so many levels, so much variety, so much to do, so many collectibles. It's just an amazing experience. I've never cared about Toad before this game, and now I want a sequel. I really want a sequel. I played this on Wii U, on Switch. I've played this game a few times. It's just magnificent. It's one of those games, give us a sequel.
Number 62 is a beloved JRPG on the PlayStation 4. Persona 5. Persona 5 was my very first Persona game. I played this game for 115 hours or something. Just the main story and some side stuff. It's a really long game. And my only issue with the game really is that the game is too long. Because no game should be this long for what it is. But it has an incredible story. Incredible. One of the best cast of characters in a game, let alone a JRPG. It's just a game that's full of love, full of fun. There's a lot of laughter to be had, a lot of cool stories, a lot of cool moments, great characters. Again, amazing combat system, amazing turn-based combat. That reminds you that there's still space for turn-based in 2020 for games, and that it's okay to try it out here and there. And great world, an amazing soundtrack. It's just a very flashy game. It's a very fun game. Again, it's a little long. But the boss fights are all cool, the dungeons are really cool. It's a very traditional yet modern JRPG, and for that we all love this game. Number 61 is one of my favorite Kingdom Hearts games. Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. This game is very underrated. I played this on 3DS and then on PS4. I know many don't love this game because it's a little complicated, because of the combat, because you play half the game as Riku and Sora, obviously. But I love this game because, yeah, one, you get to play as Riku for the first time, I think. And, yeah, so half the game is Sora, half the game is Riku. And you really feel like you're exploring these worlds twice for a good reason, because Sora gives you one perspective, and Riku gives you a little bit of a darker and maybe even more interesting perspective. Great cast of characters, a great setup for Kingdom Hearts 3, and the future of Kingdom Hearts, amazing fun worlds. I think the combat is at some of its best here because it's really a floaty combat. It just feels like they really did a lot on a 3DS system. And of course, as always, great soundtrack, very sad, a lot of laughter. It's just a very special game. I really don't understand why people don't love this game. But number 61, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, I love it. I think the game is awesome. I want to play it again soon. It's just a very great game, and I love it. So that's it, folks. So thanks for watching. That was number 80 to number 61 for my top 100 games of all time, part 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you thought. Write in the comments if any of these games would be on your list for top 100 games. Let me know if you like the video format, if it was too long, too short, what I could improve on, what I'm doing right. Just let me know. I love any kind of constructive and positive feedback. Obviously, no negative comments just to be negative. I like some just constructive feedback. And of course, subscribe and spread the word for this channel if you'd like. And yeah, so I'll see you next time. And I love you all. Thank you for the support.